Welcome back to Twisted and Mysterious. This is part 2 of the podcast. Enjoy.
Moving on.
Yeah. Okay, so, my personal opinion is that, this land wasn't anyone's to give to anybody.
Exactly.
And it wasn't anyone's to claim as their own.
No.
And also, people already lived there.
Yes.
And so, the Earl of Dunraven sucks.
Yes.
And the government who, quote unquote, gave him 8,000 acres of somebody else's
the Homesteading
land.
Act.
Yeah, they also suck. So he built a hotel on some of this land, which he named the English Hotel, which I thought was weird because I thought the Irish and the English hated each other.
Right.
At least, as far as Young Guns has taught me. And the hotel failed. Surprise. And he had many disputes with the local mountain men, probably because he told them that they couldn't be on his property.
Yes.
And he split town in 1882. He sold 6,400 acres of this land to Freelan Stanley in 1905, which, again, it was not yours to sell. It was already somebody's. And then you stole. But whatever. So Stanley used that land to build the town of Estes Park's first hydro plant, which was along the Fall River. And with this hydro plant, he provided electricity to the town for free, only charging them for light bulbs. I wish Xcel Energy would only charge me for light bulbs.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be grand. In 1907, Stanley began construction on the Stanley Hotel. His idea was to bring comfort and elegance to people coming to the area for their health or for relaxation, and it was about 25 miles from the nearest railroad station. And so, I don't know if I say this later, but I'm remembering it right now. Because it was 25 miles from the nearest railroad station, I almost said radio station.
Yes.
He had these little, his little Stanley steamer cars that would ferry people back and forth from the railroad or the railway station to his hotel and back.
So we had hotel shuttles.
Yes, basically. Mm-hmm. And he and his wife were from the East Coast, so they were we're kind of in the middle of nowhere and decided to try to build something that I guess was more like societal, like you would have found on the East Coast, than out in the middle of the Rocky Mountains.
Yes.
So the hotel is built on 142 acres and was originally 84 rooms. So according to U.S. Ghost Adventures, not to be confused with the Ghost Bros, and there were 398 electrical light fixtures, 90 phones, in-suite bathrooms, and 4 electric trunk lines installed in the new hotel. The hydro plant provided electricity to the hotel for their lighting, heating, and cooking needs. At the time, the hotel cost $500,000. Today, that is an insane $17,340,934.07.
That 7 cents just sets it over.
That's where I would have said, absolutely not. It's too much. Bring it down to $17,340,934.
Even.
Or I'm walking away.
Or we don't have a deal.
That's right. So, as I said before, it has 11 buildings, including the main hotel, a concert hall, a carriage house, the manager's cottage, a gatehouse, and the lodge, which is a smaller bed and breakfast that used to be called the Manor House. The grand opening was held June 22nd, 1909. It played host to 150 druggists from the Colorado State Pharmaceutical Association.
Yes.
So, pharmacists, as we may call them now. Freelan had some of his Stanley steamers. Oh, this is where I was talking about that. Had some of his Stanley steamers that were now called mountain wagons.
Ooh.
Stationed at the rail station to taxi his guests to the hotel. On June 25th, 1911, at 7:50 p.m., an explosion occurred at the hotel.
Kaboom.
Yes. In fact, that word is written farther down in this paragraph.
Oh.
Yes. We'll get there. I just see it, jumping out at me. So, Stanley had installed a gas generator to power gas lamps in the guest rooms in case the electricity failed. And he should have known better because gas was what put him out of business the first time.
Yes.
So, the morning that this happened, the electrical plant was having some kind of an issue, and so Stanley instructed the staff to activate the gas system. This pushed gas through lines in the hotel, and this was the first time that they had done this since they had been installed. And there was a small gas leak that wasn't detected because this was before they put the smell in the gas, so you couldn't smell that there was a leak. And when a chambermaid was lighting a candle in room 217, kaboom!
Kaboom.
There were reports that a bathtub flew into the air, several doors were blown off of their hinges, and windows...
No one was in the bathtub when it flew into the air.
Maybe that's where the lady from The Shining comes from.
Maybe.
You threw me off.
Sorry.
My hinges. The windows on the ground floor were shattered. It destroyed approximately 10% of the hotel and caused about $10,000 in damage. $332,000 in damage in today's dollars.
Yes.
Weirdly, or miraculously, whichever side of that fence you fall on, the chambermaid, whose name is different depending on the publication, but I'm going to go with Elizabeth Lambert, survived the explosion. She plummeted through the floor into the dining room and broke both of her ankles. But, like, that was all
Could have been
that
worse.
happened to her. Yeah. Some reports claim she was in a coma, but that isn't confirmed. But regardless, when she was able, she went back to work and stayed working at the Stanley Hotel until her death in 1950. Freelan Stanley paid for all of her medical bills and apparently promoted her to, head chambermaid.
Yeah.
Yeah. He paid for all of her children's college funds. He told her that she never had to light another gas lamp again.
No. I would hope not.
Mm-hmm. In 1926, Stanley sold the hotel to a private company to run it. It failed, and Stanley repurchased it in 1929. He sold it again in 1930. Before 1983, the hotel was only open during the summers and would close down for the winter. It's changed hands multiple times and is currently owned by the Grand Heritage Group, who purchased it in 1995. So, that was kind of the history stuff. And now the ghosties.
Now let's get to the spooky stuff.
So, first we have Elizabeth Lambert, the chambermaid from the explosion, who did not die in that explosion. But she did apparently die maybe at the hotel. I don't know. U.S. Ghost Adventures states that hauntings started almost immediately after her death. Elizabeth seems to haunt room 217, which was the explosion room. That's what they should put a plaque on the wall that says explosion room.
Yes.
She seems quite the prude. She pushes unmarried couples apart when they're asleep. If you happen to be a single man staying in the hotel, Elizabeth, or Lizzie as she's affectionately called now, steals their luggage and puts it in the hallway. She also packs or rearranges guests' belongings and cleans the room. So, I mean, at least she's a helpful ghost when she's not, kicking you out of your room.
She's not showing you the door.
Yeah. The fourth floor seems to have the most activity. In room 407, I hate this word. So, mischievous ghost. I don't know why, for some reason in my head, I always say mischievous.
Some people say mischievous.
And so I was like, why do I say it that way? Because if you look at the word, it is not spelled like that.
No.
It's mischievous. But then again, I will die on the cross saying cactuses.
Mm-hmm.
Because cacti is a stupid word.
It really is.
And whoever decided that cactuses did not work as a word was stupid. Or why aren't they gooses? Why are they geese? Because multiple mooses are not meese. They're also not mooses, they're just moose.
Welcome to the English language.
But horses are not horsi or heese. They're horses.
It's also not a goose or a moose.
I know, but it still ends in S-E.
I don't know. But mouse is mice. And
Yeah. So, I will pluralize all of those words. Or like whenever I called 911, or not 911, but the police dispatch that one day, and I told them that there were baby cows running down the street, and the lady was all, "Oh, calves?" I was like, "No,
No baby cows.
they're baby cows."
Or the baby version of cows.
Let's be so for real right now. I forgot that they had a word,
There was a whole word for baby cow.
but also they're baby cows. Okay, tangent over. Fourth floor, mischievous ghost of an Irishman plays pranks on people. How they know he is an Irishman, I could not tell you. I don't know if it is because he has red hair and wears a shamrock in his hat,
And little buckled shoes. And...
or speaks to them in an Irish accent. I don't know. It doesn't say why they think he's Irish. It just says that he's an Irishman. So in this room, guests report their blankets being tugged, which for me is an absolute no thank you, and moves their stuff. I also saw a report that he was, quote, an enraged Irishman. Again, no idea how they know he's Irish. Oh, I did write in the next line, unless people have gotten EVPs or something and there's an accent.
I was gonna say, he might talk.
Perhaps. But enraged is also quite different from mischievous.
I suppose you can be enraged and mischievous.
I suppose so. But you hear, oh, a mischievous ghost, and you think, oh, it's like just a silly little guy. And then you hear enraged, and you're like, I don't really want to deal with that guy. So, I don't know. Sometimes the lights flicker, and he pulls people's hair. Like that video you're showing me earlier.
Yeah, where the girl's hair was just like
Flooped up.
and she was just like, what's going on here?
He's also believed, or not maybe also, but he is believed to possibly be Lord Dunraven, the dude who stole the land from the Native Americans.
Okay.
In room 428 is the, quote, silent cowboy. The apparition of a tall cowboy lives in this room. He is possibly the mountain man Jim Rocky Mountain Nugent. Not to be confused with Ted. This guy was a famous outlaw before Colorado became a state. His ghost is seen near the bed or sitting in the corner watching the guests. And I would really prefer him not to do that if I were in that room.
Yeah, it's not creepy at all.
Sometimes he sits on the foot of the bed.
Just get to sit here and watch you sleep.
Lady guests have
Fine.
also said that they've woken up to the feeling of someone kissing them in the middle of the night.
Don't be creepy.
I know, not
Like-
cool, silent cowboy. Consent.
Right?
She doesn't know you.
You may be a ghost, but consent is still key.
Yes. Also on the fourth floor, people report hearing children laughing and running and whispering, which I always say children ghosts are the creepiest. I don't know why. We talked about this the other day, I think.
Yes. As we said, that people say that the sound of children's laughter is one of the, most joyful sounds, but,
If they're dead ones,
if they're dead, we don't want to hear it.
they're worse than dead grown-ups laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Freelan and Flora Stanley are also seen hanging out. Flora is mostly seen or heard in the music room, which was built for her. People will hear the faint sound of a piano playing. Incidentally, Flora also died in the hotel after suffering a stroke. Freelan is all over the place.
He's a busy man.
He is very busy. He probably has a whole workshop where he's just building stuff out there all the time. He's probably like, guys, look at this cool invention. And then people don't even see him because he's dead.
He's dead.
Sometimes he's hanging out in the music room with his wife. It is reported that people will see his face in reflections in the lobby. Sometimes he's seen in the ballroom, which leads me to the next ghost or ghostes. Many people...
Ghost eye.
Ghost eye. I'm moving out. That's only fun when you're calling your students Dean Guy.
Yes.
Yeah. So many people have reported that they hear parties happening in the ballroom. They'll hear glasses clinking and laughter, but no one will be in the ballroom upon inspection, which is kind of a running theme through The Shining. How much experience do you have with The Shining?
I think I've seen it once.
Oh, so sad. Like the original one?
I think so.
Oh.
I've seen the newer one too, but I think I've only ever seen it once.
Your life is hard.
I don't watch a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but you should read The Shining.
I also don't read a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but you should read The Shining. Like, I read it at least once a year.
My finger hurts.
Your pinter hurts? My pinter hurts too! Is it the same kind of pinter hurt like mine does right there?
No, mine's one of those, like, weird nail things.
Oh, I hate those.
So my finger's, like, swollen and sore and yuck. It's really bothering me, because anytime I touch my finger up against anything, it hurts really bad.
Yeah, we've also been talking about fingernails a lot on this podcast. And
we live a very complicated life.
apparently we do. Anyway, so perhaps one day you should read The Shining.
Okay.
Alright, so,
Now that you've got that out of your system.
Maybe you have. Okay, the last, excuse me, the last ghosts I'll mention reside in the concert hall. The first is named Lucy. The story goes that prior to the current owner's purchasing of the property, this concert hall had a large hole in it.
Okay.
Yeah. A woman named Lucy, seeking shelter, got into the building and lived in it while it was for sale. When the property was purchased in 1995, she was found and forced to leave. It is believed that she froze to death. Her ghost, of course, haunts the concert hall. People will hear a woman whispering. She messes with flashlights.
Well, ask me to leave now.
All right.
I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. Go get one of those ghost sucker-uppers from...
Yeah.
Ghostbusters. Oh my god, I need a nap. Okay. I got myself sniffling again. And I try really hard not to do that. Because then I have to edit them all out.
Yes.
As well as I can. But if, like, we're talking and I sniffle, there's no getting it out of there.
I think that the people that listen to our podcast are aware that we're humans.
What?
We haven't been able to conceal that fact. And so...
That's right, because if we were not humans, we would be smarter than we are.
And way more interesting.
Okay, so Lucy, she messes with the flashlights. And apparently a photo hangs in the lobby that shows a guest in the concert hall. And in the picture, you can see a woman who wasn't actually there when the picture was taken. I could not find this picture. I did not look again. But at the time, I could not find this picture. Lucy is joined by two former handymen of the Stanley Hotel named Paul and Edward. Are you looking for the picture?
Of course I am.
These guys are cranky. They're cranky ghosts.
Yeah.
Paul suffered a heart attack in the Stanley and died in the car on the way to the hospital.
I'd be cranky too.
Yeah. He didn't even get to go home. He was just like died at work. He yells at people to get out of the concert hall, enforcing a strict 11 p.m. curfew that aligns with the concert hall's closing time. Edward is usually found in the front of the building working on the building, I guess, because guests will report loud bangs from that area. I saw something saying that he was meaner than Paul, but other than the fact that he, like, bangs on things, I didn't see anything else that he did that was cranky. There's also a pretty famous picture that was taken by a guest from Houston named Henry Yao. And he was taking a picture of the grand staircase, and in the picture at the first landing, you can see what looks like a person standing there. And I know I did show you that picture whenever we were doing it. And again, because I am who I am, I did not go back and watch the Ghost Bros episode of this, so who knows what shenanigans they got into. Oh, you know what I think? Because I think that I did not watch it, but, oh, never mind, I have it down here, I'll talk about it in a minute. Did you find that picture?
I'm trying to decide if I found the picture.
Yeah.
Because the first version of this photo that I found was very much in French.
Ooh, oui, oui.
And so I
we
went
also
to
speak French a lot on this podcast.
Yeah. Well, we're very worldly.
Sure are.
But I don't know if this is the picture that they're referring to.
Let's see. What does it say? Hold on. I scrolled So, apparently a photo hangs in the lobby that shows a guest in the concert hall, and in the picture you see a woman who isn't there.
Yeah, and like, I typed in Stanley Hotel Lucy photo, and this picture just keeps coming up.
Oh, yeah, probably. Especially because that one has an arrow.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Interesting. Send that to me on, so I can put it on
Okay.
the things. Social media. That's what it was. Okay, so, what else did you find?
I don't know. This.
Oh, because, like, this is the one that guy Henry Yao took, that, like, somebody's standing at the top of the staircase. But, yeah, that one's weird.
Yeah.
But that one just looks like a little kid coming down the stairs, and it's, like, a blurry picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were moving while the picture was being taken.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's a critic. Alright, so, that was all of the ghosties.
Show's over.
Show's over. Bye, guys. You want to talk about Stephen King now?
Sure.
Yeah. So, Stephen King and his wife Tabitha visited the hotel in 1974, and they happened to show up right before it closed for the winter, so they were the only guests. Now, in The Shining,
Yes.
the whole premise of the book, in case you don't know this story, is that there's this guy, Jack Torrance.
Yes.
And he was an English professor at, like, this fancy school. But he was a raging alcoholic. And he beat up one of his students. And he got fired from his job. And then he and his wife, Wendy, and their son moved to... I don't know if they moved to Colorado at that point, but one of his friends gets him an interview or a job at this hotel, the Overlook, as the wintertime caretaker, because they close at the end of summer, and there has to be somebody on the property to, like, run the boiler and, you know, just, like, make sure that the roof doesn't cave in from the snow and the things.
Right.
And so he gets hired for this position, and so he and his wife and his, like, little bitty son are living in this hotel, but then ghosty, terrible things happen.
Right.
Okay, so Stephen King and his wife show up at the hotel right before it closes for the winter, so that's, you know, where that came from.
Yeah.
The only other people that were left on the property when Stephen and Tabitha stayed there were a housekeeper and a bartender. Stephen and Tabitha were in room 217, so I don't know if they asked for that room or if it was just a coincidence that it was the one that blew up. In interviews, he said that he was working on another book that he, like, didn't really love the setting of the book. And after Tabitha went to bed that night, he was wandering the halls, and he went down to the bar and was served by a bartender named Grady. Grady is a character in the book, but he's not the bartender in the book. He was, like, a previous caretaker of the hotel in the book. So he has said that at one point when he was in the room, he pulled the shower curtain back from the tub and had the thought, what if someone died in here? And so if you know anything about the book, you know that that's kind of a big deal, or the movie or anything. He said that in that moment, he knew he had a book. And when he and Tabitha ate in the dining room, all of the other tables had the chairs stacked on top of them, and there was a canned orchestral music piping through the speakers, which led to, like, an eerie atmosphere. And with them being the only ones there, and then all the tables are stacked up, and he's also quoted as saying, I dreamed of my 3-year-old son running through the corridors, looking back over his shoulder, eyes wide, screaming. He was being chased by a fire hose. I woke up with a tremendous jerk, sweating all over, within an inch of falling out of bed. I got up, lit a cigarette, sat in a chair looking out of the window at the Rockies, and by the time the cigarette was done, I had the bones of The Shining firmly set in my mind. And there is a scary fire hose in The Shining.
Fire hoses are pretty scary.
Well, because in the hotel, and I don't know about the Stanley Hotel specifically, but in the Overlook, since it's an old hotel, which this is, obviously, they didn't have proper fire extinguishers, and so there were hoses like connected to the water system, like rolled up in the, like against the walls, and that was used as the fire extinguisher system. So lastly, the Stanley Hotel has been featured in many movies and TV shows. The Shining miniseries from the 90s was filmed at the Stanley, which I feel is like surpasses the Stanley Kubrick one. I do not care for the one with Jack Nicholson, and I know that's not a very popular opinion. But I think part of that was because Stephen King did not really like the Stanley Kubrick one either. And so whenever, like, I guess in the 90s, he decided to remake the movie himself. And the original movie was filmed somewhere else, like some other hotel, and, you know, like shot all over the place. But Stephen King shot the miniseries at the Stanley Hotel. It was also a filming location for Dumb and Dumber, which I have not seen Dumb and Dumber since it was brand new, so I don't remember this.
I believe that we had this conversation last time, and I told you that I think it was like the hotel that they went and stayed at with a girl that one of them was like dating, and her family, and they were like hoity-toity people, and obviously the guys from Dumb and Dumber are not.
What? But they had the fancy suits.
Yes.
No, like, fancy suits, the most annoying noise in the world, and singing Mockingbird, I think, are the three things I remember from that movie. Nothing else. Because even when I was like 8, I thought it was stupid.
It's a pretty dumb movie. But I mean, it's in the name.
There is a report that while filming the movie, Jim Carrey requested to stay in room 217 because it was supposed to be haunted. 3 hours later, he ran out of the room scared, but he has never said what happened whilst in the room. Top Chef filmed an episode during a season when they were going to various locations in Colorado. It's also appeared on Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures. And like I said, I did not go back and watch Ghost Adventures. I'm sure that I've seen it before, but I did see a still of our dear friend Zach walking around with an axe. And as far as anyone knows, no one was murdered with an axe in the building. It was strictly a Stephen King Shining thing. And so that apparently is that. I didn't even finish that sentence. There's no period.
No.
It's like I'm Gen Z or something.
Just done.
Just didn't even put
It's
anything
embarrassing
there.
if you put a period at the end of that sentence.
Isn't that weird? Isn't it weird that grammar and punctuation is like aggressive now?
Yes.
So when I had that kid send me that message asking if I would just like give him a grade, I called Amy and I was like, is like telling him absolutely not too aggressive. And then she was like, well, I guess you could just say no, but don't put a period at the end. And I was like, but he needs the period.
Depends on whether you put a period on it
Because
or not.
no is a complete sentence. The Olsen twins told us that. So, anyway, maybe we won't lose that to the audacity of audacity.
I guess we'll see if the ghosts eat it this time.
I guess so. Well, what else?
I discovered earlier that there is a couple in Deming, since we just drove through Deming the other day, who forced their 7 children to live in underground tunnels and did terrible things to them, and
Eek.
were recently arrested for this.
You know, not fantastic things have happened in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Some downright weird and gross things happen here. I know, I was thinking...
Like, it's definitely a story all on its own.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because as we were driving home the other night, we passed the sign for Truth or Consequences in Elephant Butte. And so then I was like, well, you know, at some point I'm going to have to talk about David Parker Ray. And yeah, my favorite episodes of Criminal Minds. There's all kinds of crazy stories that you could get from here. It was funny because, you know, we did Dina Lingor when we first started, and then we talked about the St. James Hotel, and I had somebody that was like, oh, I love that you're, like, doing all these New Mexico stories, and I was like, I don't even want this to be, like, a New Mexico podcast.
I know. But I had, you know, considered when we first started talking about it, just, like, how much we could do that was, like, you know, local.
Yeah. Well, and then you did the Lonnie Zamora thing, and that was also New Mexico.
Yeah.
And so, like, we could make an entire podcast that was just things that happened in New Mexico. But that probably could be said about anywhere, honestly. We just are more familiar with it because we're from here. I don't think I had anything else. My next story is a big one. It's taken me a long time to get together, so that's why I didn't do it
just
today.
haven't had the time or the energy to even try to come up with anything lately.
So I'm still working on that one, so that's why I went back to this one, because I was hoping I was going to have it done for this week, but then with us being out of town, and then I had a lot to do the last couple of days for school, so
Yeah.
I have not finished that one, but it'll be ready for next week, unless you come up with something first, and then I can put it off to the next one.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's almost summer vacation.
It is.
I mean, it's almost summer, but it's not really almost summer. We still have like a month until it's summer.
Yeah.
But
Here it's almost summer.
But we have a week until summer vacation.
Yes.
And that's all this little math teacher lives for.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, social media.
We have some.
It's at Twisted and Mysterious. We also have email at not at. Wow, that's not how email
That's
works.
not where the at goes.
I mess it up every week. I don't know what it is. So, it's like I'm Gen Z again, and I don't know how email works.
I don't know how email works.
Like, when they send you an email and the entire email is in the subject line,
Yes.
like, friends.
They don't understand that there's boxes for different things.
You were literally raised with technology in your hand. Like, you were born with an iPhone.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyway, so email twisted and mysterious podcast at gmail.com.
You can send us stuff there.
You sure can. And you can send us stuff on our DMs.
Yeah.
And
slide right into our DMs.
As the youth say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I am gonna... Ooh, it's not too late.
No.
It's only like 9 o'clock.
We got home early today.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go and do other things now.
I'm gonna go hang out with a sick kitten.
Gross.
Yeah. It's not my favorite thing.
Like, not gross, because kitties aren't gross, but kitty season sucks.
Yeah. I'm tired of it already.
I'm gonna hang out with a cranky lizard.
She's just seeping.
They're so pretty. She's just the best one.
She's just seeping, dreaming about doing push-ups.
So I don't even do push-ups. How dare you? I'm dreaming of eating worms.
Yeah.
Big, juicy worms.
Big, juicy, crunchy worms.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's all we have this week. We'll tell you some more creepy stuff next week.
Perhaps. And we'll catch you on the flip-flop.
Yeah. As the youth say.
As the youth say. I do tell the youths those things, and then they look at me like I'm a crazy person.
Yes. So, as always, remember that people are gross and don't get murdered.
That's right. And see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.